Welcome back, boys. Today we are at the Manor, and recently I've gotten a few requests to go ahead and make a mixing setup. So today that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make the biggest mixer that we possibly can inside the Manor with the 12 employees, and we're gonna be perfectly balancing all of the employee assignments to future-proof it for when deliveries change in the future. So this build is going to be customizable and allow you to choose which products you want to mix. It'll allow you to turn off and turn on certain sections of the build as you want, depending on what you feel like mixing at the time. We're going to go ahead and build it today, test it out, make sure that everything works, and hopefully you guys can get some good use out of it. I think it's going to be a good one. So here's what you're going to need. You'll be needing these 2 large storage racks, but also this one here. So that's 3 large storage racks in total, 4 medium storage racks, 4 brick presses, 4 safes, 16 mixing station Mark II, and 12 lockers. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my lockers and get started on this portion. If you want to be able to turn your build on and off in certain sections, then do it this way. If you don't really care about that and you just want to have all your lockers in the same place, then that's totally fine and up to you. I'm going to start by going here in the hallway, and we have this large storage rack is just in line with these doorways here. So 1 tile in front of the stairway. And I'm just lining up these 3 lockers here along with this wall. And 1 locker is going to go directly opposite. So that's our hallway with the first 4 lockers. Then we're going to go into each corner of the room. In the back side of either side, we're going to be placing 4 lockers up in these corners. So I'm going to go over here to the opposite side and place my other 4. And this way we'll just have our employees spread out. So now we'll go ahead and make some of these sections of mixers. And we're going to have 4 sets of mixers, and 2 of them are going to be on either side of the manor. So we'll be starting off here in the corner. That's the main door right there. So we'll be starting off 1 tile away, and we're going to place 2 mixers, and then 2 tiles opposite to those, we're going to place another 2. You're then just going to repeat that exact same pattern directly off the back. So we now have 2 groups of mixers here. We're going to put a safe on the inside mixers. So we just have a safe at the end here. And then we can add our brick presses on the outside. So everything will flow. This will be the start of both mixer, and it'll flow around to the brick press and into the safe. Same thing on this side. So now that we have this all built up, we're going to go ahead and do the filtering and the assignments for all of them. So we're going to start here next to the safe. We're going to set all of our thresholds and destinations for each mixer to go all the way down the line, and that'll be it. I'm not going to attach it to the brick press yet because I want to let the system prime itself before I allow it to start producing. And that's how I'll start the test. I'll wait till 4 a.m. one night and then I'll attach this and start the test. But the brick press can have its destination in the safe, and then we just need to do the exact same thing on this other set, but we're just doing it inversely. So it's still going around the outside in the same order, towards the brick press and then into the safe. But I'm just not going to send it into the brick press yet because of my experiment. And now we have all of the destinations set, so we just need to set the filters. And in here is where we're going to do that. So the mixer is always going to be the banana in the first one. Then we'll go on the second step and we'll do our cuke. And our third step will be our horse semen. And our fourth step will be our mega bean. Now we don't need to blacklist or whitelist anything if you don't want to. Everything will just run through this. But if you did want to sort things, for example, if you wanted only Coke over here, then you could set this whitelist of this product to be only Coke. That's up to you if you want to do this. So you could do Coke for this one, you could do weed for this one, or meth, or whatever you want to do, right? That's totally up to you. Or you could just leave them all empty and it will process whatever you have. But we're still going to go ahead and set up this second group with the banana, cuke, horse semen, and mega bean again. So you need to go ahead and do that for all of your machines. And then you go ahead and go into the opposite side of the manor and do the exact same thing that we just did here in this room with all of our building and all of our item filtering, so it's set up exactly the same. And remember, you can just leave these with nothing in them if you want. It's just up to you to customize however you like. If you want to be bringing in all 4 products, just 1 product, up to you. So now we only have one thing left to do, and that's to finish our manifold system. We've got our mixing setup built on both sides of the manor, and our manifold system is going to be going right here in the foyer area, just so that we're as close as possible to the door. All of these guys just have to walk right up to the door here, put something in, walk back to the van, and the other guys just walk in the door, grab something, take it to the mixers. So everything will be extremely compact, and we're just trying to minimize as much walking distance as possible. We're just going to place our medium storage racks here inside the door. That's all 4 of them, just 2 on either side. And then we're going to place our other 2 large storage racks right here like this. So we've got all 3 storage racks down this line. Now for these shelves, we have to do item filters on all 4 of these medium. So we're going to whitelist banana in this first one and then select apply to siblings. So it puts banana in every slot. And what we're going to do is make each one of these medium storage shelves into a holder for just 1 single ingredient. So for the second one here, I'm doing cuke. Then I'm going to start on this side, and this side we'll be doing the horse semen and apply to siblings. And then finally we have the mega bean right here, and then apply to siblings. So now we have our 4 shelves with our banana, cuke, horse semen, and mega bean. Then these 3 shelves here, you don't need to filter. Just the exact same thing as what I said about your mixers. Depending on what product you're bringing here, you could just leave this open. For example, if you wanted to just leave this open and have things go to random places, you can do that. But if you wanted to bring all of the current products, here's how you would set that up. So you can either just select 1 or 2 or however many you're doing, but you always want to set it up in a way to where things will flow through. So here's how you would do that if you were doing all 3 products. You would select all 3, you would select apply to siblings. Then in these first 3 slots here, you would want to only have 1 item per slot. Alright? And what this means is nothing will get backed up when your employees are bringing it through, because you would filter these other 2 shelves the exact same way as this one. And then items would always be able to flow through, even if you had a ton of Coke in all of these 5 slots and your Coke mixer was backed up. You would still at least get some weed and some meth flowing through. You could change up this filtering and balance it to however you're producing, but that's just an example of the simplest way to do it. So you should consider what you're doing in your build and just change that to however you need it set up. If you're only producing 2 products, obviously you're only going to have those 2, but maybe you just balance the whole system half and half. It just depends what you're producing. So now that we have everything done, all of our stations are placed and all of our item filtering is set up, we now just need to do our employees, and we're going to do this in 3 separate parts. First, we're going to do the chemists, then we're going to do the first 4 handlers, which will be working mixing stations, and then we'll be doing the last 4 handlers, which work on bringing items in from the loading bays. So what we're going to do for these chemists is we're going to come into the back room. I'm going to assign a chemist a locker in this side of the room where he's working. And then since that locker's closest to this wall, I'm going to assign him to this section here. I'm going to assign him in the order of the mix. So he's going to want to work in that order. And I'm just going to repeat that for the next chemist here. I'm going to come into the room, I'm going to assign him a locker, and then I'm going to assign him his mixers, again, in the order that we're doing the mix. So both of them are here, so if I don't want this side of the room to be on, I just won't pay these guys. So you need to do that for all 4 chemists, the same way that I just did, but in the opposite side of the room. And we're going to continue on here now with these 2 handlers that work in this side of the room as well. So I'm going to grab a handler, and I'm going to give this one the locker next to this chemist, so that means she's going to be working on this set of chemistry or mixing stations. What we're going to do is, first assignment is going to be from this large storage rack, which is going to have our product. She's going to bring it into the mixer that has the banana. So that'll be the very first task. So your base product will always be on this mixer first. We're then going to come in here, and these are our shelves that have our products. If you remember, it's banana, cuke, horse seam, and mega bean. So I'm going to select all 4 of these shelves in that order. So now I have banana here, cuke here, horse semen here, and mega bean here. Now I can just take them over and set them all into the proper mixing station, and that's it. Very simple, right? We'll then assign her to the brick press that's on this side of the station as well. So as you can see, 1 chemist and 1 handler work on each of these little stations. We're just going to repeat exactly what we just did with another handler, and you need to do this exact same thing again on the other side of the building. I'm just not going to show all of that just so that we can save some of the time in the video. But go ahead and get that done, and then we'll be all set and ready to move on to the next portion. So now we need to go ahead and assign all of our handlers who are unloading trucks for us here. I went ahead and let everything get filled up so that I could show you exactly how this is all working, but just to reiterate in here, this is how everything should look when you have your mixers assigned properly. And these are our shelves. So we have our banana, cuke, horse seam, and mega bean. We have a whole bunch of coke here on this shelf. And we just need to assign our handlers here. So we're going to start off by doing 2 of our handlers who are going to focus on these 2 ingredient trucks. So we're going to take one of our handlers, and we need to assign this guy a locker. The ingredient truck employees will get these last 2 lockers. I'm going to assign this guy to the locker there at the end of the hall, and then I'm going to come over here to loading bay number 2. We're going to take 2 tasks from loading dock 2 here, and then we're also going to take 2 tasks from loading dock 1. And we need it to be in this specific order. We're then going to come inside the foyer. We're going to assign the first task to the banana shelf, the second task to the cuke shelf, the third task to the horse semen shelf, and the 4th task to the mega bean shelf. So it should look like that when you're all done. You can then take your final task from loading dock 3 and just have him help bring in some coke if there's ever any downtime for whatever reason. Now we're going to grab our next handler, and we're going to do basically the same thing. We're going to assign a locker here, and we're doing these ones here at the end on purpose. We're then going to come over to our loading bays, but this time we're going to go in reverse order. So we're going to go 2 tasks from loading dock 1 and 2 tasks from loading dock 2. Then when we come in here, we're going to again go from reverse order. So instead of starting with banana, we're going to start with the mega bean. Then we're going to go horse semen, then cuke, and then banana. And of course, finally, we can go to loading bay 3, and again, just help with unloading some of that product if there's ever time. They never really will need to. Here we go. That's our first 2 handlers all set up. Now we just have our second 2, and these guys are going to be our product handlers. We are going to give them one of these 2 lockers here. Now, on these guys, our first task of our first handler, we're going to take from this middle shelf and put it onto this right side shelf, all the way to the right. So we just have 1 connection here. The second task is going to be from loading dock 3 over to the shelf on the left. And that's all that we're doing for our product per handler. These next 3 tasks here are going to be to help out with these. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 task from loading dock 1 and then 2 tasks from loading dock 2. We're going to take the loading dock 1 and place it here into the horse semen shelf. We're then going to take our first task from loading dock 2 into the cuke shelf. And the final task here will go into the banana shelf. Then that leaves us with our final handler, who's going to be this guy. We're going to, once again, give him a locker right here. And this handler is going to be taking product from the leftmost shelf and placing it into the middle shelf. Then his second job, again, is going to be loading dock 3 into that leftmost product shelf. Now for this guy, we're going to come over to our ingredient loading bays. We're going to take one task from loading dock 2 and then 2 tasks from loading dock 1. Loading dock 2 is going to come into the cuke shelf. Then our tasks from loading dock 1 are going to be the horse semen shelf and then the mega bean shelf. Now the reason why we did all that is so that everything will have a good balance in terms of how fast that they can bring all of these ingredients and all of this product in the building compared to how fast our mixers can use it, because it is pretty fast. But that is it. All that's left to do is go ahead and prime the system, allow the chemist to fill up all of these mixers, and then turn it on for our tests. So I'll go ahead and let this all get primed up, and then we'll check out what it produces, and I'll give you the results of that. I'm expecting that this thing is going to do at least 40 bricks a day. I would expect a little bit more because each one of these mixing sets should do slightly more than 10 bricks per day on average if you average it over at least a week. This should be more like 10.4 or so, I would say. The distance here, maybe a little bit less than 10.4 average, but certainly we'll get 10 bricks per day mixed out of each of these sets of 4. So we'll go ahead and do this test and get the results. Check out how this build is running. I'm pretty excited. Hopefully it works how I think, and I'll catch you after that. It is the end of the 7th day of our test, so we're gonna go ahead and grab everything out of the safes that was produced today and tally everything up. I'll let you guys know right now, it was indeed consistent and it did do exactly as expected. This goes in here. So each row here is a day of our production. So first day we did 40, second day 44. So as you can see, it produces really consistently. I watched it the whole time, and as long as there's product in these two storage or in these two loading bays, all the handlers keep up with all of the mixers and all of this keeps up. I just let it start running out. I stopped putting more coke in here because I knew it was the last day. But so now that we know that this thing runs, it's producing exactly what I anticipated based on my previous testing of the chemist. Now we can just go over some of the personalization that you can do to this build. So as you know, right now we can only order these 2 vans. And if you only order these 2 vans, it's not going to be able to make 40 bricks per day. You have to bring more supplies here yourself. So the best way to do this, in my opinion, is going to be ordering one of the gas marts. Probably just do the banana and the cuke from both of these 2 gas marts to this one on loading bay 2. And then you can drive your own van to the gas mart to pick up the horse semen and mega bean and park it in loading bay 1. And that way you can just constantly have full vans here. You'll need 2 vans so that you can drive one to pick up to leave here, and then another one that you can drive and pick up the next batch and then have here ready, because you just always need the vans here ready. If you have the 2 orders of cuke and banana from the gas marts to this one, then it should always stay here ready. I believe so, at least. I'm not sure. Guess you'd have to test that out yourself. But anyways, the point is, now we can talk about personalizing the build. So you could use this, since this mix is good for coke, meth, and Granddaddy Purple, you can set that up on your item filters in here. So you could have it be all 3 of them in all of these slots, and then that way you're set up like this. You just have to make sure that the first 3 slots are just 1. So just pick 1 for each of these first 3 slots, and then you'll always have a constant flow. Nothing will ever get trapped if all of these 3 storage shelves are filtered like this, where you have 1 product in each of the first 3 slots, and then you can have all 3 products in the remainder of the slots. Then you can come into your mixing stations, and if there was nothing here, I can't check it because, well, I'll just take this out. You can just select your whitelist on this product and decide what product you want in whichever mixer. So let's say that you're doing just weed and coke. You could have half of this set up for weed and the other half set up for coke. If you had coke in the warehouse and the barn, you could have 2 of these running for coke, and then you can pay these guys when you're mixing coke. Or if you stopped mixing coke, then you could stop paying these guys over here in this corner. And then you could do your weed over here, and Just like with the other one, you could choose to turn it on or off by not paying them in this side. And then as far as these guys go, the guys who are bringing supplies in, let's say you're only running half of this building, then maybe you don't need this extra guy bringing stuff in. So you could just not pay this one guy and you'll still be bringing stuff in at a pretty good rate. But you only need him if you're running all 4. You could run 2 of them without him. So you might even be able to potentially run 3 without him, but again, you would just have to check on that for yourself depending on how you want this to be set up. I'm probably going to be doing just half Coke, which will be the Coke that I make in the barn and the warehouse, and then the other half will just be weed. And that'll be it pretty much. You could do meth, but we just can't produce enough meth to even fill this thing up all day, so it's not really much point. But this thing, it works pretty great. I was really happy with how fast everything moves. It looks really busy, so that's cool. Pretty much everybody's constantly doing stuff almost all day. And one other thing, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, we have 3 storage shelves here because our van can hold 16 bricks, right? This is 8. So that's 16, another shelf 32, and the final shelf makes 40. So essentially this is future proofing. So when we get vans that can either deliver more product or bigger stack sizes of product, however it works, however the case may be, that everything gets updated with deliveries and then allows us to run things automatically 100% uptime, then you'll just have to bring one van here per day because, or well, not one van, but you'll have to make sure that this whole building is supplied once per day. So all of these should be full and the van should be full at the start of the day, and then you'll make your 40 bricks. But of course, there's the fact that every couple of days you'll actually make 44, which is what brings us up that little decimal point. We're actually making more than 10 bricks per little system here. So that's pretty much all there is to it. It needs a little bit of help from you to make sure that it's fully stocked and supplied if you want all of them to be running constantly. But this is the best that we can do in the game until the deliveries get all situated. This should be future proof for that, but if something changes to where I feel like this could be done better in the future, then I'll make a new version updated with the delivery driver update or whatever updates that we may get. But for now, I think that it's pretty cool because let's say that in your next playthrough when shrooms come out, you want to do all 4 products, then you can mix potentially. I don't know how good this particular mix will be for shrooms, but you could mix all 4 of them here. Or maybe we can find a different 4 mix that has a decent price somewhere in the middle for all 4 of them and have it all coming in. But the reason why they all need to be the same mix is because you will not be able to get a good balance on your employees bringing in ingredients unless you do it that way. If you're doing this size of mix with 4 mixers, like this kind of layout, I don't think that there's a way that we could do multiple different types of mixes. So I think that's about everything. I'm really happy with this. 44 bricks a day, pretty freaking good. It's a big step up from my previous mixer, which was the 3 mixer, the triple 4 mix in the docks warehouse that I did in the Gus Ring video. So I'm happy with this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this gets you to 10 million faster. You can start mixing all that stuff that you're making in your other properties. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.